Hello everybody, MacCubed here, and in today's video I'm going to be explaining to you guys why the January 1st, 1970 glitch bricks your iPhone. So I'm just going to get started by basically just going over what iOS is from a software perspective. iOS from a software perspective is a Unix-based operating system just like OS X and Linux. Now both these operating systems or Unix-based operating systems were first designed in the 1970s, and the way that these operating systems kept time was in seconds, based upon an integer. So it counts the amount of seconds from January 1st, 1970. So instead of like using actual dates and months and years, it uses seconds. And now these seconds are calculated by the date itself is calculated by dividing the amount of seconds into minutes and then minutes into hours and so on and so forth by counting out that integer. Now by setting your date back to January 1st, 1970, the amount of seconds is 0.00000. So if any of you guys have any sort of knowledge of math, you know that 0 divided by 0 is an undefined function, and if you do it on a calculator, it will give you an error. Now, what happens is, once the date has 0 seconds in, the amount of minutes cannot be calculated since the seconds can't be divided. So it basically says, oh, there's it's like an undefined time. So without the time on your iPhone, certain certificates can't function, and that's why also, if your iPhone's date is set behind or set forward or something, some certificates may be considered invalid or they might not work, because these certificates require a certain date. They're valid until a certain date, and sometimes if you put the date too far back, newer ones become invalid because they've been signed at a specific time. So this breaks certificates also. Now, the reason why restarting your phone stops it is because it basically it doesn't reset your PRAM battery, but it basically takes your date and time settings and it's automatically saved, but once you restart it, it resets again. And then it looks to connect to the server, and since that isn't working, since you automatically overrid it, it's going to be back to 0000. So which causes your phone to go into a boot loop and it won't turn on. Now, I'll also go over some solutions to fix this, and so yeah. The date and time on an iPhone is stored in the battery. Desktop computers, laptops, all of that have PRAM batteries. Some laptops, even including the iBook G4, they have a battery and a special capacitor on the logic board that transmits it doesn't transmit it, but it helps save the date and time settings, which is stored in the battery, but this capacitor helps with that. Sorry. But on the iPhone, the date and time, much like the iBook G4, is stored in the battery. So even by restoring your phone, it won't reset because it's stored in the battery. And that's also why turning it off won't work and doing a hard reset won't work. None of that will work. So the only way to fix this is by either disconnecting your battery from your phone or letting your battery die. Now both these ways would both solve the issue, but by far the easiest way, depending on which iPhone model you have, would be definitely to just let the phone die, because this bug only affects 64-bit based devices, so that means that it won't work the iPhone 4 and the iPhone 4S, which are the two devices that are definitely the easiest to unplug the battery from, because the back is so much easier to get off than pulling off the entire screen, disconnecting the Touch ID cable, and all that stuff, and holding the screen at an angle. So the iPhone 4 by far would have been the easiest to solve this issue on, but since the iPhone 4 is not 64-bit based, you can't do that. So you would either have to unplug the battery or just let it die. Now, I'm not too sure about how Apple stands on this issue, but I'm pretty sure at this point they're replacing devices when this error occurs. But it would be pretty simple just to unplug people's batteries or just let them run down, because I know the iPod Nanos have that special developer menu, and there is an option there that says basically run down the battery as fast as you possibly can. And if iPhones do have this menu, which I don't know if they do, but Apple might have software that allows them to access this. All they would have to do is just hit one simple button that would run the battery completely down in like 5 minutes, and you'll be fine to just take your phone and go, and all your stuff will be saved. So if this does happen to you, your friend pulls a prank on you, don't restore your iPhone. Just if you're at school or something, just keep your phone on, leave it in your backpack, and just let it sit there for the rest of the day until the battery runs out, because this will definitely be the easiest way to fix this without having to go to the Apple store or anything. And right when you turn it back on, like right when you go to charge it or whatever, it should start working again. So that's the easiest way to fix this. Now, from Apple's point of view, they can't do too much from like a software point of view. They can't remove the date because that would throw off the entire Unix operating system. And then if they do remove the date, then the next date would be January 2nd, 1970, which means the bug would still exist. I think one of the best ways that Apple can do to counter this issue is by removing the option to set your date to January 1st of 1970 and letting that date remain there, but you can't set it to that. So the earliest date it can go is January 2nd, 1970. So you can't go before that, which would basically cure this, because then you would be at, I don't know the amount of seconds, but the amount of seconds in one day would be the starting point for January 2nd and beyond. So it wouldn't be that big of an issue just to remove that date and, well, not remove it, but just cancel it out, like not let people select it. So then from beyond that, everything would work out fine. So people can't pull this prank anymore. This hasn't happened to me yet. I haven't had the interest to try it because I don't want to break something not break something, but just like render my phone useless for however much time I have, because it's a 6S Plus and the battery on these are huge, and I don't want to have to deal with that running down, because it will take a very, very long time to run down. So that's basically this entire bug, what it is, how it works, and how to fix it all in one video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.